Everyone, welcome. I'm Dr. Kameryn Kuester, and today we're going to be talking about something that is genuinely one of my favorite topics in the entire world. And I know that sounds dramatic, like she was talking about eating, but bear with me. By the end of this, I'm hoping that you're going to feel a little bit lighter, not like physically lighter. I'm not here to help you lose weight exactly, but like emotionally lighter. Like you've been carrying around a heavy backpack for years, and someone just said, "Hey, you can put that down." So, intuitive eating. Well, let's get into it. Before we do that, exactly, I want you to just run through this list with me. So, this is a judgmental free zone. Obviously, we're not physically together, so feel free to even raise your hand if you're feeling like it. So, have you ever started a diet on a Monday? I'm guessing the answer to that is likely yes. Or Tuesday, never stood a chance. Who has felt guilty after eating something quote unquote bad? Have you ever ignored your hunger to try to lose weight? And most importantly, has that diet ever worked? Like extremely easily, I could do this for the rest of my life worked? Likely not. And here's what I want you to hear from the very beginning. You're not the problem. If diets worked, you'd have found them by now. We'd have all found one by now. The entire industry would collapse. The fact that there are new diets every single year is your first clue that none of them are working. So intuitive eating, what even is it? I do want to note that I am borrowing all of this information from Evelyn Julie and Lisa Rich. None of this information is necessarily my own. I might share some personal tidbits throughout that are mine, but all of this is that. They are geniuses. So, what is intuitive eating exactly? The official definition is an approach to eating that focuses on the body's responses to cues of hunger and satisfaction, aimed at fostering a positive relationship with food instead of weight control, which sounds lovely. It really does. But let me translate. It's all about getting back to trusting yourself. Fad diets operate on one fundamental assumption that your body is out to get you. They say, don't eat when you're hungry, stop before you're full, and definitely don't eat what you actually want. It's basically telling you that your body's signals are wrong and your willpower alone is both the problem and the solution. Intuitive eating flips that completely on its head. It says that your body is actually incredibly smart, smarter than I'll ever be. Any meal plan, any calorie counter, any influencer on Instagram will ever. And it's our job to just remove the static so that you can hear it again. So why am I, a chiropractor, talking about this? So that's fair. Let me explain. So what do we all know about the brain? We know that it controls everything in the body and it uses the spinal cord and all of its nerves to do that and to carry out that control. But what happens if there's a subluxation or a misalignment in the spine? We know that it interferes with the brain's ability to carry out that perfect control in that area. The brain and the body are no longer in perfect communication, so messages aren't coming in and going out like they should be. So as a chiropractor, what am I doing? I'm removing that subluxation and restoring that communication. So here's the connection. Diet culture does the same thing that a subluxation does. Diet culture comes in and it slashes the natural communication between you and your body. It's been telling you for years not to trust your hunger, not to trust your fullness, not to trust your cravings. My job in both cases is the same thing. We're going to remove that interference, restore the connection, let your body do what it was designed to do, which I promise you includes knowing when and how much to eat. And you might not think that eating disorders or disordered eating are very common. So here's some statistics around that. The prevalence of eating disorders has doubled from 2000 to 2018, meaning 9% of the population are affected, which means nearly 1 out of every 10 people struggle. And 13% of women ages 50 and older are currently experiencing an eating disorder. 1 in 3 women ages 50 and up say that they are dieting most of the time over the past 5 years, and 71.2% say they are currently trying to lose weight. And in the United States, 1 person dies every 52 minutes as a direct result of an eating disorder. So if you're thinking eating disorders aren't that common, they definitely are. And for those of you thinking that you're the only one struggling with your body, your weight, exercise, etc., you are so far from alone. You are not alone. So, on that note, here's some positive findings behind intuitive eating itself, because I know some of you need that data and move too. So, people who practice intuitive eating show up in the research with higher self-esteem, better body image, greater life satisfaction. They're also more motivated to exercise, and here's the kicker, because it feels good, not because they feel guilty about something they ate or something like that, or because they want to shrink their bodies. They're tending to do it because it feels good, which is sometimes a new thought for people. Physically, they tend to have lower BMIs, improved blood pressure and blood lipids, and this one is huge, weight stability. This is compared to weight gain or weight cycling, which is when your weight is constantly fluctuating, like you're constantly gaining and losing some weight, which happens a lot with yo-yo dieting or fad diets. And weight cycling itself is actually linked with an increased risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. So that means that sometimes the dieting that we're doing in an effort to protect ourselves can actually damage our health in the meantime or in the process. So yes, I will address the fear up front that no, intuitive eating does not mean that we're just going to eat pizza and Doritos every single meal for the rest of our lives. There's no research linking intuitive eating to eating more junk food. It's actually linked to more dietary diversity, because when you stop banning foods, you stop obsessing over them, and you actually end up wanting more variety, which is also sometimes a wild thought. So we are going to talk about all 10 principles of intuitive eating. No willpower is required for all of them, any of them. So if you've ever tried to white knuckle your way through a January diet, this is a very welcome change. So we're going to go through all 10, but I will tell you right up front, they all build on each other. And the last one is intentionally last. So please do not skip to number 10. That's very important. So let's get into principle number 1, reject the diet culture. So this is the absolute foundation. It might feel scary because we've all spent so much time inside diet culture that it literally just feels like reality. But I need you to hear this. Diets don't feel you. You don't feel diets. Feel by design. The diet industry itself profits from you coming back. If it worked, you'd be done. You'd never need another product. The entire business model depends on you believing that you are the problem. When you diet, your body actually retains more fat for the next time, or the next time that you start eating normally. Your metabolism slows, your cravings skyrocket, and then diet culture says, see, you don't have enough willpower. It's not your willpower. It is literally a smart response on your body's behalf because it's trying to protect you from starvation. Your body is fighting for your survival, and then diet culture calls it a character flaw. It doesn't make any sense. Rejecting diet culture doesn't mean you stop caring about your health. Far from it. It means you stop letting an industry that profits from your insecurity define what healthy looks like. Okay, principle number 2. Honor your hunger. So I want you to think of a time you got so hungry that you ate something or literally anything, and you didn't care what it was or how much it was. Maybe you stood at the fridge and you just went for it. Okay, here's what was happening biologically. So look at this little circle here. So when we are deprived of food, deprivation, it literally triggers the release of an enzyme in your body that causes you to crave carbohydrates, fast energy, right? So then when you actually do go to eat, you tend to binge carbohydrates. And then you feel really bad. So then you don't eat for a long time and you deprive yourself of food. And then the cycle just keeps going. It's not because you lack discipline. None of this is because you lack discipline. It's biology. Your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do in an effort to try to protect you. We are born intuitive eaters. Babies cry when they're hungry. They turn away when they're full. But then years of being told that we have to finish our plate, there's no dessert until you eat your vegetables, diet culture, wellness influencers, after that, and we lost it. So this principle is about getting it. We're going to start noticing our hunger signals. And that's like thinking about our energy levels as like a gas tank. So we're going to grab a snack at a quarter tank versus waiting until we're running on fumes and then getting mad at ourselves for making quote unquote bad choices. It's not your willpower, I promise you. And this is the hunger fullness scale. It is an extremely practical tool. And 1 is about, it's like I'm literally so hungry, I feel like I could pass out. And then 10 is I'm so full that I feel physically ill. I'm sure we've all been at either of them. I was at a 1 literally not that long ago. I told my boyfriend I was going to eat his face off. So that was not my best moment, but we've all been there. Thanksgiving, we tend to not eat breakfast and then gorge ourselves. And then we're like, oh, I do not feel so good. I'm not doing this for another year. So the goal is not to be perfectly in this green zone all of the time. Ideally, we would stick between a 4 and a 7, slightly hungry to we're satisfied, but it's literally a sweet spot. It's not to be perfectly there. It's just to notice where you are. Like before you eat, where am I? After I eat, where did I land? You're just building an awareness. There's no passing, there's no failing. You're not graded. The green zone is like if you're catching yourself at a 3 to 4, that's your body giving you a friendly reminder, like, hey, I'm hungry. If you're landing at a 9, that's not a moral failure. It's just information. Like maybe I waited too long to eat. Maybe I was eating while I was distracted. Let's just try differently next time. Okay, principles 3 through 6. These are all deeply connected, but before we do that, I do want to go over some studies that show that how we literally think about our food affects how our bodies respond to the food. So that being said, this first study is the milkshake study. It was given to a group of people, and there were 2 groups. The first group had a shake that was labeled Sensi shake, 140 calories written on it. The second group was given a shake that was labeled indulgent shake, 620 calories. They were the same shake. You gotta know that. They were the same shake. And what they were doing was they were testing how the body's ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, was affected based on people's perceptions of what they were eating. So ghrelin, when it's high or increases, your appetite increases. And then when you eat, ghrelin should decrease and then your appetite should decrease. But they found that the group that drank the Sensi shake, their ghrelin actually plateaued or stayed the same versus the indulgent shake group, their ghrelin decreased dramatically. And the problem with the Sensi shake group's ghrelin plateauing, it leads to your body thinking that you're still hungry and then you overeating because you're not aware the appetite stays high when it should be decreasing. So the researchers noted that although the caloric balance equation, which is like calories in versus calories out, seems super simple, right? It seems super straightforward. If I just restrict my calories, then I should be able to lose weight. Well, these findings suggest that the psychological mindset, sensibility while eating may actually dampen the effects of ghrelin. Not great. So the next study is what I call a blood sugar study. So it had 30 participants and they all had type 2 diabetes and they drank the same beverage, but they had deceptive nutrition fact labels. So some said they were drinking high sugar drinks, some said they were drinking low sugar drinks. They found that their blood glucose levels changed based on what they thought they were drinking, meaning that if they thought they were drinking a high sugar drink, their blood glucose spiked, which is their blood sugar. Or if they thought they were drinking a low sugar drink, their blood glucose didn't really change. They also noticed that the emotional eating habits, levels of perceived stress, and whether someone chooses to eat based on external stimuli, which means, oh, I think it's time that I should eat, or other people are eating, so I should probably eat, versus internal stimuli, like I'm feeling hungry, also played a key role on how much their blood sugar changed. So now that we're on the same page of how I think about food literally affects how my body responds to the food, let's talk about principles 3 through 6. So principle 3 is make peace with food. This one is a tricky one. It's about giving yourself unconditional permission to eat. And I know that sounds really scary, really dangerous, but here's the paradox. The more forbidden a food is, the more power it has over you. The moment you tell yourself that you can never have that thing, what do you think about that thing constantly, right? So here's how you can put this into action. Give yourself permission to eat one forbidden food, then go to the store and buy this food, or go to a restaurant and order it. And then before you eat it, make sure you're going into the experience somewhere in that optimal zone between a 4 and a 7. And then when you're eating it, check in with yourself. See if it actually tastes good, like you imagined it to. And if you really like it, continue to give yourself permission to order it or buy it. And then lastly, make sure that you keep enough of it around in your kitchen or in your proximity, so it will be there if you want it. So I know that sounds really scary. When you give yourself permission, though, true permission to eat, the obsession with that food will go down. I promise you. Eat some of it, you feel satisfied, you move on. You don't binge it because you don't need to, because it will be there tomorrow. No stress. And then principle 4. Oh, also to go back to that, how many of you have forbidden a food and then you go to eat that food years later and you're like, dang, that wasn't even that good? Well, you might notice that if you're still in that forbidding mindset of like, I can't eat that food, you're going to eat it whether it tastes good or not. Because you're like, I know I'm not going to let myself have this come Monday. But if you don't forbid it and you really let yourself experience it and say like, hey, I'm going to eat this food if I like it. If I want more tomorrow, I can have more. You might find that the food you thought was so amazing isn't actually that amazing. I promise you. Principle 4, discover the satisfaction factor. How many of you have ever been at a birthday party, a wedding, some social get together, and the whole time you're anxious and in your mind about what you were or weren't eating instead of enjoying the party? We've all been there. Eating is supposed to bring pleasure. That's not a weakness. It's literally biology. Because when you eat something you actually enjoy in a relaxed environment, you naturally are going to eat the right amount. When you're eating something that you're allowed to eat, but you hate it, you'll keep eating, trying to find that satisfaction factor, but you'll never get there. So satisfaction is not the enemy. It is a destination. Principle 5, feel your fullness. Here's something that research tells us. Dieting actually weakens your fullness signals. Dieters usually stop eating based on a rule, not a body signal, eating feel full. And that trains you to eat bigger and bigger and bigger amounts. I know that this one is harder for people to lean back into because it's scary and it's one of the main ones that we're told that we're supposed to avoid. So here are some tips. 1, it takes about 20 minutes for your stomach to signal to your brain that it's full. So at first, you might want to start putting your fork down between bites to help slow you down. 2, in the middle of your meal, pause, put your fork down for about 60 seconds. That's a bigger gap. And ask yourself, how does this taste? How full am I? That's it. You're not grilling yourself. You're not judging yourself. You can keep eating if you want to. It's literally just a check-in. 3, remove distractions. Do not eat while watching TV or scrolling on your phone. You will absolutely miss your body's signals. Some signals are extremely minor. My body signal to myself that I'm getting full is just a little sigh. It's just a little like that. And if I was doom scrolling while I was eating or watching TV, I would 100% miss it. So taking all that away, you're more likely to actually like, oh, hey, there was that. So try your best. And again, don't judge yourself if you do it. Not a failure. And then 4, I think, increase protein and fiber. Lean meats, eggs, beans, vegetables, they all help regulate those levels of ghrelin in your body. And they digest slower, which will help you feel fuller longer versus things like quick carbs. And then lastly, I also recommend that you drink a glass of water about an hour before eating. There's a lot of opinions about whether or not you should drink water while you're eating. Just drink a glass of water about an hour before you eat. I found that to be a good solution. And because we've been taught to ignore feelings of hunger, once you start leaning into it again, it might feel like you're hungry all the time. So making sure that you're going into meals hydrated will help distinguish whether you're mistaking dehydration for hunger. And then number 6, challenge the food police. This one is all about drawing away at the labels of good, bad, should, shouldn't. There's no more, I've been so bad today. Stop shitting on yourself. There are no rules left to break. So there's absolutely nothing to feel guilty about. Here's another study. So for those of you thinking I cannot let myself not diet or I will go crazy and overeat, there was a study where they gave all participants in the study a placebo pill. Then they were either told that they were taking a placebo pill or they were told that they were taking a weight loss pill, even though it wasn't. They found that those that had been told they were taking a weight loss pill ate more and drank more sugary drinks during the test compared to those that were told they were taking a placebo pill. These findings suggest that those that believed they took a weight loss pill had perceived that the medication gave them a greater leeway with regard as to how much they could. So this is why dieting, cheat days, binging, they all go together. And when you aren't dieting, you tend to regulate yourself more than when you tell yourself, on Monday, I'm going to start that diet, which is why I have to eat all this today. Promise. Principle 7 through 10, the last few. Principle 7 is cope with your emotions with kindness. And I want to say something really important here. Food can be comforting. It can. That's real. That's human. Eating with the people that you love, that's connection. A warm bowl of soup when you're sick is so comforting. But food can't fix anxiety, it can't fix loneliness, and it can't fix a hard day at work. It may numb those feelings temporarily. Then you're going to be left with the original problem, plus guilt about the eating. So when you notice you're eating emotionally, get curious with yourself, not critical. What are you actually feeling? What do you actually need? Sometimes it's a walk. Sometimes it's a call to a friend. Sometimes it's just letting yourself feel the feeling for a few minutes. Principle 8, respect your body. Okay. You wouldn't go to the store and buy a pair of shoes that's 2 sizes too small and then feel terrible about yourself because you can't wear those shoes, fit your foot into those shoes, right? Respecting your body means treating it with dignity right now. Not when you get some goal, not after summer, not starting Monday, now. Principle 9, movement, feel the difference. This is a principle I want every person who hates exercise to hear. You've probably just hated punishment, not movement. That feels like punishment is hard to sustain. Movement that feels like joy, energy, play, that's what people can do for decades. Find your thing, dance in your kitchen, take a long walk because the air feels nice. And chiropractic is very helpful here too, because when you're adjusted regularly, you sleep better, you think more clearly, and you move with less pain. And moving without pain is a lot. And lastly, principle number 10, gentle nutrition. This one is last, like I said, for a reason, because if I would have led with this, some of you would have turned it into another set of rules before you'd done any of the work of the other 9. Gentle nutrition means making choices that honor your well-being and your taste buds. It means caring about how food makes you feel, energized, good, satisfied, without it becoming obsessive. Progress, not perfection, is what we're aiming for. One snack does not undo anything. Okay, here's some myths. I'm going to address them right up front because I know they're here. I know you're thinking them. If I do this, I'm going to overeat everything. Okay, we already know that research shows the opposite. Binge eating is largely driven by restriction, where if you remove the restriction, the binging will decrease. I'm going to only eat junk food if I do this. No research supports this. Intuitive eaters tend to eat more variety, not less, and there's nothing connecting the two. Because when nothing is forbidden, your body's natural desire for different things is going to kick in. Though I do want to point something out, and that is that modern, highly processed foods are literally engineered to override your natural satiety satisfaction signals, like the bliss point of sugar, salt, and fat. which can make it extremely hard to intuitively rely on portioning them. So when or if you are eating highly processed foods, I highly recommend that you are continuously checking in with yourself. Ask yourself some of these questions before you go into the experience. I highly recommend that you're going into it already higher on that satisfaction or that hungerfulness scale, excuse me. I want you closer to around like a 6, because you'll be less likely to eat that food in larger quantities and actually be able to tune into your body's cues of what it's trying to tell you, versus if you go in at like gross. During the experience of when you're eating it, does this actually taste good? Sometimes you're going to find it doesn't. Am I actually enjoying this, or am I just eating it because I wouldn't let myself eat it before? After the experience, how does my body feel? Do I feel energized? Do I feel satisfied, happy? Or do I feel cloudy, disappointed, and any discomfort anywhere? Lastly, I'll eat the same food that's all beige forever. That's not true. We already know that they tend to eat higher diversity than less. So your body is not the enemy. It's been trying to talk to you this entire time, and we've just been trained to hang up the phone. We can start answering it. Okay. My loose recommendations. I do actually have some opinions when it comes to what to eat when. But again, these are loose. This is after Principle 10 for a reason too. Okay. I know that breakfast has been the meal that people tend to skip the most, because I'm just going to start my day off on a low calorie so then I can eat more later, or all of these other canned shed wood, whatever. I am a huge advocate of breakfast. I genuinely do think that breakfast should be the biggest meal of the day, and then lunch should be a little bit smaller than breakfast, and then dinner should be the smallest meal. I have so many people that are like, I crave things at nighttime, like before bed. That's my problem. If I could just get rid of the snacking at night. Okay, my first question is, did you eat breakfast? Did you eat breakfast on that day that you're really craving the thing? Because if you didn't, well, then you're likely in a caloric deficit, meaning that you have not eaten enough that day. So then your body isn't going to let you rest well because it's feeling unsafe. So then it tries to get in all or make up for all those calories that you were missing before. And then because you were likely still hungry, you're going to be low on that scale. So then you're just going to eat. You're just going to go for it. And that's not a judgmental statement. I'm not judging anyone for doing that. But I do want you to start thinking that, like, hey, I'm feeling really snacky right now. I'm not saying don't snack. I'm not saying no. I am just asking you to also ask yourself, did I eat breakfast today? Because I think I might be in a caloric deficit. And we already know that caloric deficits does not mean you necessarily lose weight down the line. Okay. I also recommend that you try to eat that breakfast within the first hour of the day. I know you might have to wake up earlier, and I am sorry because I do not like waking up earlier than I have to, but I highly recommend it. It kickstarts your metabolism, and you might not feel hungry right away in the morning because we've done the years of fad diets and our body and metabolism has slowed down. But once you start it, after a while, you will start to feel hungry again in the morning. And that's going to be huge. It means that your metabolism is kickstarting again. Because if you think about it, you've been fasting all night. So you should be hungry, right? Okay. Also, I'm a huge advocate of snacks. Meals should be lasting about 3 to 4 hours. If you're hungry after an hour or two, your meal probably wasn't big enough. If you're not hungry after 3 to 4 hours, your meal is probably too big. These are just cues. I'm not judging. I'm just letting recommended. And then, so that being said, I eat breakfast between 6 and 7 a.m. So then 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 and 10, I'm hungry, right? Time for a snack. And then a couple hours later, lunch. A couple hours later, snack. A couple hours later, dinner. Okay. I also, don't hate me, but I also recommend coffee after you eat breakfast. It messes with your cortisol if you have it after, or if you have it before, excuse me. So try it. Just try it. It'll help potentially. Some people are different, but it will potentially help that crash that you feel around mid-morning. Okay. And then protein. Dr. Jacob gave a talk last month about ideal protein intake, and his ideal recommendations are 0.82 times your body weight in pounds. And I highly recommend that you eat 30 grams of protein right away in the morning. If me saying numbers like 30 grams is triggering to you, don't track it. Just try your best to just make sure that what you're eating is largely protein. And then plate breakdown. This is not like what you're going to look, if you look up plate breakdown online, this is not what you're going to see. But I got this from a friend nutritionist of mine, and I live by it. I love it. Half of your plate should be protein, quarter of it should be fruit, and a quarter of it should be vegetables. I get automatically red flags are going off, sirens, if I hear of a diet that's telling you not to eat fruit, not to eat vegetables. I don't understand that. Just saying, okay. Okay, half your body weight in ounces of water per day. Highly recommend that as well. If you're not flushing things out of your body, you're going to feel poopy. So lots of water. And then some people are going to be like, okay, well, I'm starting to do this, but how do I know when I should get more food or I should not get more food? A hugely effective tip that I found is that if I'm craving more of what I've already been eating, then I should probably get more. But if I'm not, like let's say I'm eating a burger and I am craving food, but I really want like chocolate ice cream, I'm probably full. I'm probably satisfied. And I should wait at least 20 minutes before I start to like think of, okay, now should I go into the next experience a little bit fuller before I go into that? Okay. 3 takeaways. If you walk away with nothing else, I hope that your body is smarter than any diet ever written. It's way smarter than me, way smarter than anybody else. And it was born regulating itself. So we should really try to trust it. Just try. 2, you are not broken. The system is and was and will continue to be. Diet culture is a multi-billion-dollar industry that profits from your self-doubt, my self-doubt, everyone's. You've been swimming in it for so long that it literally feels like water, but it's not. It's just marketing strategy. 3, it is never too late to start. You will have meals that don't go the way you wanted. You're going to eat past your level of fullness. You're going to eat when you're not hungry. That's normal eating. That's life. It's not a failure. It's just food. Okay, and then some homework. I'm not going to send you with a meal plan or a food journal or a calorie goal. I'm going to give you 4 tiny experiments. They're all optional. Do it if you want to. Don't do it if you don't want to. No gold star. Just try one. Try the hunger fullness scale before and after one meal this week. Just notice, don't judge yourself. What number did you start at? Where did you land? 2, eat one forbidden food intentionally, with permission, mindfully. See what actually happens when the guilt is removed. Spoiler, it's usually less dramatic than you expected. 3, pause mid-meal once. Put that fork down. How does this taste? Am I still hungry? That's it. And then 4, notice your food self-talk. Next time you catch yourself saying, I shouldn't have this, ask yourself, says who? Okay, thank you so much for being here. I genuinely love this topic, and I love that you were willing to sit with it here with me, listening to this today. If you have any questions now or later, please come find me or message me in some way, shape, or form. I can talk about this all day long, and I would love to talk to you about it. And if anything today resonated, please tell a friend, because someone out there is starting diets on Mondays and has been for 20 years, and they deserve to put that back down too. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you.